I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, August the 7th, brought to you in part by Endovac Animal Health. For over 40 years, Endovac beef vaccine is paired with an immune stimulant called Immune Plus that boosts the animal's overall immune system. For more information, go to endovacanimalhealth.com and watch the video that I'm going to attach to the end of this feeder flash episode for more information. Unsure footing. The board was no banner day on Tuesday, but it didn't go down to limits we've never seen before, so we feel a little bit better about that. Feeder cattle still lower, but the live cattle showed a little bit more footing, and then there was some footing on your back months of your feeder cattle, so that makes us feel a little bit better. I don't think we're probably done with the big down days, but maybe it's not going to go down limit moves until we get to the bottom. So that makes us feel a little bit better, but this may be an opportunity, guys. You know, a lot of people say a down market is a good opportunity to get in and buy. We know we're still sitting really good fundamentally. I talked to you about Tyson Foods and how they touted a big third quarter on Monday, and gave most of the credit to the beef. You know, everybody's talking about how high beef is and all this kind of thing. They were saying their beef demand was outstanding. People are still going to eat beef. They still want it. And but we're just now seeing the highest retail values that we've ever seen, even though we've come off of our all-time record high prices of cattle and boxed beef. But retail fresh beef values are just now hitting all-time record levels that we've never seen before. I'm talking at the retail level, and this includes all cuts of beef and includes ground beef. And we know their cows have been high for all summer here quite a bit, but it's higher than ever, higher than when COVID was at its worst, and like I said, higher than when we saw all-time prices of cattle, which hadn't been that far, and we're really not that far off of our all-time high prices, you know, if you figure it relatively. But we did see a little bit of fat cattle trade on a direct basis. I don't know that it was enough to set the market, but it was enough to ease us a little bit, with Iowa selling several cattle direct at 193. Yeah, that's $3 lower, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Had a good fat cattle auction at Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. I'll tell you all about that here in a little bit. But it's just nice to have a little bit of firm footing, and we'll see if it holds. I don't think it's going to bounce right back. I think probably what's going to happen over the next couple of years, we're going to see big drops like this, and then stabilize, and then another drop and stabilize until it kind of gets down there to where it feels more comfortable, talking about the market. And the market's not going to go down as far as what our lows were before we saw this rally. And I think we'll just over time, we'll never see the lows that we saw before. They'll just be a low for that time, and then we'll reach new record highs as we continue to go through really tight supplies of cattle. And then that will change once we start keeping heifers back. And talking to a friend of mine in Texas, down there in the Central Texas sales, and he says, you know, with this market break here just in the last couple of weeks, are starting to see producers coming in and with not quite as many heifers as they have steers. And maybe that's what it took, is for the market to break a little bit. People decide, well, these heifers aren't worth quite as much as what they were the last time I sold, or maybe 2 or 3 months ago. Maybe I can't afford to keep a few of these heifers back and start trying to rebuild or younging up my herd a little bit. We've talked to more people about LRPs on Tuesday than I have in a long time. Now, I've been preaching these LRPs, and we have several companies that advertise with us that sell LRPs. I recommend all of them. Find somebody that's close to you that knows what the conditions are in your area. Get a hold of them and get you an LRP. And I'm talking especially on your feeder cattle, or that you're backgrounding, your calves that you're backgrounding, making yearlings out of, or calves that you're holding back and then going to sell at a later date. But you know, LRPs are a hell of a thing to look at after the board was down $5 to $7 on Monday. But if that's what it took to give you a look at it, and they don't understand it, well, I don't understand everything about them either, but those people that sell those LRPs do, and it doesn't cost anything to call them. But basically, you call them and you get an estimate. I call them strike prices, but that's really on your options, which is not really, don't really want to relate those two, but you get an estimate of prices that you can lock in down the road on the kind of cattle that you're going to be selling. They'll tell you what it's going to cost. It's going to cost you $6, $7, $8, maybe $10 a hundred, depending on how much risk you decide to absorb yourself. That's what your premium will be. You can file and get the government to kick in and help you pay that premium to as much as 35% of it, which is pretty nice, and that's the only cheese check you're going to get if you're only in the cattle business, so you better take it. And then whenever you get to the point where you're going to sell your cattle, now you have to show that you own cattle. Yeah, you didn't used to, but you have to show that you own cattle now. And then whenever you get ready to sell those cattle, what your cattle bring doesn't have anything to do with your LRP. So if you're running really good cattle that are going to sell higher on the market compared to everybody else's, you're ahead of the game right there, because it doesn't matter what your cattle bring. It's just all compared to what the market is, the cash market is, and those LRPs are going to settle on what your CME cash feeder cattle index is. And that's one reason that I give that to you, and I tell you about our RTI real-time index that is a precursor for the CME and kind of tells you what it's going to do, because your CME cash feeder cattle index is always running a day or two behind. So get in and check those out. Protect yourself. I mean, we've still got a long way to go down when this thing decides to do it. I don't think this correction right here is where we're going to go to our depths. No, I don't believe that. But it's just a little warning sign. It's a warning shot there. So now that you see what that thing can do, if we do see some gains and we get back to a place where you're comfortable, or if you're comfortable where you're at, dally up to one of those estimate values there on your LRP charts, and don't worry about that premium. Everybody thinks the premium is high. We lost as much as those expensive premiums are yesterday on Monday on the board. So, and put it in a relative picture, it's not that bad, guys. Got some good sales coming up here today on Wednesday. Come and see me at Beaver County Stockyards. I'm going to be auctioneering at the special cow sale. They've got the Overton Ranch dispersal. They've got the Griswold cattle coming in, about 300 bred cows off them. Really nice cattle. They will all be straight black except for a few black baldies. I mean, the wholesale and over 1,000 head of top quality replacements. South Central Regional Stockyards in Vienna, Missouri has got the Harrison Ranch dispersal there. Really nice working cows there for Central and South Central Missouri. Elite Livestock Sales down in Alabama is going to be having the 44th annual Producers Feeder Calf Sale. That's going to be at 6 p.m. Here today on Wednesday. The Beaver Bred Cow Special is going to be at 8 a.m. That's earlier than the advertised 11 a.m. But all of those sales will be on DVAuction.com. And you can view and bid all of those sales. So check them out. Talk about your board on Tuesday. August live cattle futures were up 42 cents. Not a lot of play in that, but 181.97, and we sold a few cattle in Iowa at 193, so it's still trading at a big basis there. October live cattle up a nickel at 179.05. Your back months were down 37 cents to up as much as 17 cents, so like I said, some unsure footing there. Feeder cattle futures for August down $1 even at 243. Trading at about a $10 to $12 discount to what your cash index levels are at, but they're on their way down. September feeder cattle down 67 cents at 240.57. Back months on feeder cattle down 20 cents to up a nickel. December corn down 1 3/4 cent at 405 1/4. November beans down 14 cents a bushel at 10.26 3/4. And hard red winter wheat for September up 1 1/4 cent at 5.61 1/2. Fat cattle trade, I've been talking about it throughout the report there. Iowa did sell 1,700 head from 190 to mostly 193. So that 193 made us feel just a little bit better. Didn't see any confirmed sales direct basis out of Nebraska, Kansas, or Texas. Did have the fat cattle auction there, the biggest one in the country. Stockman's Livestock Market, Yankton, South Dakota. Recently added DVAuction broadcasting there. You can view and bid on DVAuction at all their sales. They had a good fat cattle auction on Tuesday. 800 head in overnight, about 1,500 total for their fat cattle sale. Conventional fat cattle bring from 187 to 194 1/4. That was $2.50 to $3 lower. Not the end of the world. But we saw that 194 1/4. There was 54 head black steers weighed 1520 that brought the 194 1/4. Just cattle, guys, but good cattle. A week ago, their brothers brought 196. So really, it was only less than $2 lower on the very best kind. The program cattle that they had in Yankton, drug-free or non-implanted cattle, bring from 188 1/2 to 196, and that was as much as $6 lower. But as always, we thank Gary Marks for her getting this information put together, puts it in a concise way where we can understand it really well, and shares that with us. And happy birthday to him. He recently celebrated his 81st birthday, and I'd say he's a lot more coherent than our president. But box beef cutout values were lower after being up on Monday. Choice cuts down 213 at 315.81. Selects down 44 cents at 299.62. Your slaughter running a bit ahead of schedule compared to recently. 241,000 for the first 2 days of the week. That's 3,000 better than last week. 5,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Limousine and Lim Flex. Consider circling back to limousine influence in your herd. They're now focusing on feed efficiency, improved marbling, continued superior yield grade, and calving ease. Let Limousine and Lim Flex take you full circle. Visit NALF.org. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction. Late in the day on Tuesday, sitting at 253.89. That was down another $1.08 compared to the end of Monday's trade. Latest CME cash feeder cattle index sitting at 255.35. It will be losing $2 or $3 here the next time it comes out. Big sales, not many big sales around. Nobody wants to sell cattle when they know they're going to be a foot lower. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri, only had 600 head through the ring. That's the smallest Tuesday run they've had since the height of COVID back in 2020. But it was all due to the market, but 600 head through the ring. Another 250 some on their in-house video that they have pretty much every week with help from DVAuction. The calves in West Plains sold $5 to $10 lower, and that's pretty consistent in the sales that's been reported this week. Give you some individual quotes from all around. How about Kingsville Livestock Auction in Kingsville, Missouri? They sold 70 steers, weighed 685 and bring 280. Pretty respectful for the way things are. Alma Livestock Auction in Alma, Nebraska, South Central Nebraska, sells 61 steers, weighed 908 at 241 1/4. That's pretty good for the way things are right now, guys. Awfully good. How about Scotland County Livestock in Memphis, Missouri? They sell 60 steers, weighed 868 at 248.50. Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota had one heck of a sale and had several impressive quotes there. The most impressive I saw was 110 head of spayed heifers. They were blacks and Charolais crosses from Chad Heason there, part owner. 110 head, weighed 910 spayed heifers at 238. That's steer price now, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Fredonia Livestock Auction. My buddy Brad Hahn there has a good sale. He sold 6 loads of the Justin-ish steers. They're right off grass weight 728. 6 loads of them, guys. Average 728 pounds. Bring from 267.5 to 268. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.
Every feeder calf that comes onto the place, we run through the chute and they're given a shot of Indivac. Every animal on the place has had a shot of Indivac at least once, and we don't have any death loss, well, very little death loss. And I mean, it's the common denominator across all the cattle. So staying out ahead of those sicknesses or illnesses is really important for us. Kind of preventative maintenance is very important. So using that Indivac, helping out their immune system before they get sick, really saves us money.